waiting for YouTube to wake up. Ooh, looks a little quick this morning. There we go. Now we're going to send a little shout out to YouTube and Instagram. Good morning, Jake.
Good morning, Kurt. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I got new headphones.
Right on. Well, it's about time. It's almost Halloween.
These have a cord on them, so already I'm like, damn it. But, since technology has invaded our lives.
Eat the mic, pal.
I wanted to upgrade.
Right. Well, we want to welcome everybody. If you're just tuning in, you're wondering what this is. This is a post-apocalyptic science fiction comic, and we're making the story, the art, the dialogue, the planning, and the lettering, and every little aspect. It starts out with these little thumbnails, and it turns into splashy black and white, gray toned action, and we're working on an anthology for release January 1st, 2026, if not sooner. And things are coming together, but we have a lot of work yet to pull it all together because we only meet here on Sundays around 10 a.m. Eastern time. So thanks for tuning in. Guess what I'm doing today, Kurt? And I believe this is the highest priority.
You're finishing the lettering on Ken Landgraf's Casualty pages?
Well, I realized that to finish the lettering on that, and then also to finish the lettering on the incoming pages that we're getting for Alex Turbin, and on and on and on, we're much better off creating the font in calligraphy.
You did it?
So, well, no, I only got up to the letter D. But I worked for like a while, and it's actually kind of cool. What I paid the $10, which is very, very reasonable.
Yeah.
And you download a template. So if you want to go to calligrapher.com and make your own font, you can do it for free. Calligrapher is spelled without the last E. And I paid the $10 because I wanted to go beyond the free program, and I wanted to get the full program. That's going to allow us to have multiple alternative letters. So we'll have, instead of just having one D, we'll have 4 Ds to choose from, and we can randomly just substitute them. And we're trying to get a computerized font that doesn't look computerized, and it's just taking our own handwriting and making that the font. But if we take our time to do it nicely one time, then that means every time heretofore, we're just going to be typing and kerning, which is going to be a huge time saver down the road. So
I can hear the cheering. Jake. Can you hear the cheering?
I can almost hear it. If you listen closely, you can almost hear it. Guys, I have to apologize for my voice. It's a little raspy. I had a show on Friday night, and I didn't do my best to recover yesterday. I went to a punk show in Tompkins Square Park, Lower East Side, and I saw a couple of storied punk performances. There's actually another festival today, 2 to 6. But for God's sakes, I have to take it easy. I went to practice on Thursday and Wednesday, and then I had a show on Friday. So I can speak, but it sounds like nails against a chalkboard. It sounds like Rod Stewart after he woke up after a bender.
Good old Rod.
Wake up, Maggie.
Oh man, he went there.
Yeah. So I have a couple of things to show today, but I'm basically just going to be trying to whip through these letters and get them like really nice once and for all. And so this might seem like drudgery if you're tuning in to see some like, sci-fi fisticuffs and everything, but it's going to be well worth it on the back end. So the good news is I can pretty much talk about anything without thought because this doesn't take very much thought. So what was your week like? You're busy trying to get the Crom published?
Yeah. I am down to do a little show and tell. So 30 spot illustrations for a story, prose that was developed out of an already established pulp story by Gardner Fox, A Sword and Planet from Sword Planet Stories back in the 50s. Early 50s, and so converted into a sword and sorcery yarn, obviously doing the obvious, which changes the character's name from into Crom. So this is the second one I've done. It's called Crom of Clarn. It actually takes place after Crom and the Warlocks of Shardor. This is actually an illustration I had done when it was the original story called Sword of the Seven Sons. And the sword is it's the whole, stick of it. So it's got 7 orbs on it, so it has this, mystic runes and everything. But I'm doing 30 spot illustrations, which I'm pretty far on right now, which means right now I'm actually putting the book together. And I'll just give a little show and tell to tease because I am right now, my time, let me check my calendar. Pre-ordering should be happening around the week of the 10th, 11th of November. Now, the thing about the pre-ordering is if you want to get to pre-ordering Crom Anthology #1, you have to be on the mailing list at cromthebarbarian.com. If you go to cromthebarbarian.com, there's a very easy little place to stick your email into, and you will get a notification. The other bonus is not only for pre-ordering, but you're going to get a deep discount on the book. And it'll only be for that week of pre-ordering. And then once it goes to the public for an entire week long, which is my campaign, Can Crom Sell 100 copies without Kickstarter, then there'll be a not so extreme discount. And then after that, which will be a week long, it will just be in the wild at its retail price. So things are coming together very nicely. I am a little exhausted. I'm actually going to take a little time for myself tomorrow, hang out with my best friend, just to kind of help recharge my battery. So, because I've basically been double downing for the last week on these 30 illustrations. Which, I love doing. I actually saved the best for last. I did in my Crom the Barbarian update on my YouTube channel. I love doing spot illustrations. But this is really fun coming together. And then it's going to be about 200 pages, black and white, very much like Crom 2024 collection. If you are not on my mailing list, get over to cromthebarbarian.com, and you will reap the benefits of being a part of the community and getting the updates from there. So super excited, and getting to that point where it's like I really want it to be done and over with. But one of the biggest things I took on for myself this year was to not rush it. I was not rushing. And if I felt like I was rushing the work that I was making, or even the people that I've been collaborating with, I just took a step back. I just literally just said, hey, I'm going to take some time, make sure I'm 100%, have the time and the energy to properly put it together. So this Crom Anthology #1 is truly going to be amazing. So yes, that has been my entire week once again, and will be for the next for basically the entire month of November. Other than, yeah. So that's what I've been up to.
Cool, man. So, yeah, my week was kind of a week of music. This is the band that went on after us, the Psychedelic Cats. They're good friends. I jumped up on the stage. I also went to an art gallery crawl yesterday, and I was invited because I'm a New York City school teacher, and it ended up being a pretty small group. We met at kind of like the hub for galleries now in New York City. It's used to be like Soho, but now it's like downtown. Now it's like Chelsea, and there's all these galleries there that you can really just go from one to the other and you see all different types of art. And it's funny because it's not a museum, it's a gallery. That means there's somebody trying to make some money. And this is pricey Manhattan real estate, obviously. So what you have is this is kind of like art meets capitalism, right? It's like whoever's paying for these galleries is spending a lot of money, thousands and thousands a month. I can't even imagine. And if you don't sell some art, you're just eating it. So this is one gallery, and really interesting giant paintings, and the art world is so funny, it's so fickle, it's so like complicated and eccentric and everything. This was another gallery walked into. They had a one-man show for this guy. I just took some photos, but I'm passing by this gallery, and it wasn't on our map, and it's called Fredericks and Fraser. And I took a screenshot of this because guess who they were exhibiting in one? They had two storefronts right next to each other, and guess who they were exhibiting in one of their two storefronts? You know who this artist is right here? I'm trying to get it in focus.
Yeah, it's blurry. I can't see it.
So this was maybe like no, we're not getting it. Let's try again. This was maybe like 14 by 17 matted, and it's not coming into focus. Oh well. Well, it was Frank Cho. Oh, here we go. Now we're in focus.
Susie said his name.
What's that?
Susie said his name.
Yeah. And I took a couple of pictures. So he's making work, to put into comics. And he's a titan of the industry. He worked for Marvel and DC and whoever he wants. And some really great. I want to show you like the cross hatching that he's doing. You see, this reminds me of Druna and Serpieri, but he's got this
ballpoint pen. It's all ballpoint pen.
Yeah, I don't know. Right, it might be ballpoint pen for the hatching. Yeah.
Yeah.
But check out this video. So I went, so you don't have to. Check out this video, walking in basically to the whole show. And so this was a great surprise to me, because by this point I had already seen the doggy attack me. I had already seen like maybe 6 or 7 galleries, and it was all this weird conceptual art, geometrics, and portraits and abstract and everything. And then you just see this famous comic artist here. I tried to avoid the desk guy in case he was going to tell me there's no filming around. And you might recognize some of these covers. But watch this. So then he has this style, which is decidedly like Art Nouveau, like that right there, like Mucha and all those guys.
Yeah.
And he got himself a gallery show. Pretty impressive. Here's Superman versus Swamp Thing. Here's I guess the Black Canary. I think that's like an all-girl battalion called the Birds of Prey. And it looks like just some like type pencils on this wall. You're wondering how much these cost. So, probably in the thousands, but maybe not, maybe not much more than 1,000 or 2,000. But some of the bigger pieces, I don't know. Who knows? In all the galleries we were going to, I was curious and I was looking up, prices or, most attained for this artist, blah, blah, blah. And because you're just curious. But, I was walking around with a bunch of art teachers from New York City, and we were doing our commentary on, oh, the art means this, the art means that, or this one is this one is a reflection of this influence, blah blah blah. It's really fun if you're into art in general to go to New York City and do a gallery crawl, and right around 10th Avenue and 23rd, 24th, 25th Street, between 10th and 11th. You can have your pick of, I don't know, 20, 30 galleries that are all located there. And it's a good day in New York City. So there's actually parking on Saturdays. Might not be that easy, but it's around street parking. And, it used to be where you had to go, down to Soho, or you have to go to a museum to see some art. So this is just free. You can walk around. And sometimes we talk about art in general. And it was a pleasant surprise to come across the Frank Show exhibit. I don't know when it's there till, but, you could browse and you can buy. And it looks like it's probably a good investment, actually, because, it's a big argument to make that just getting put in a gallery raises your attention of your art, and sometimes the curator can really make the artist by putting them on the map with other collectors and dealers and what have you. So that's what I was doing this week. What else? Oh, so I got a package I'm going to unbox here. Something ordered off of eBay, I think. And let's have a look, see, shall we? I'm pretty sure I know what this is, but you never know with Kurt around. He could be having you sent stuff from all corners planet.
I don't know if it.
Right, I got this in the mail a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, that was the Ro Higashi. I just finished editing her interview. That will be up in the coming week. So
we just spoke to her last week. That was a great interview. Right on. Let's see. It looks like Spider-Man closed this one up with his web shooters. And the verdict is, aha, yes, this is what I thought it was. So I bought a copy. I think I.
Oh yeah, you said this. You said this last week. I think you got it, and you won. Yeah, you won the bid.
Yeah, well, I won the auction, and it came, and it's a pretty good shape cop. Now it's all messed up over here. Well, it's a copy of Startling Detective from November of 1960. And my mom on the cover with at age 19 or 20. Oh, she must have been, yeah. So she was already 20. But she did a photo shoot, and they got at least 3 covers out of this for Startling Detective and True Crime. Probably all the same. Probably all the same publisher anyway. But I got this, and I still missing one, but I want to frame them all and have them all in a room here in the house to see. What else came? Oh, so I wanted to show this. So when I'm playing a show with this band, and they're called Dr. X and the Breakups, and they're a good punk band. There was like three guys and a lady who played the keyboards, and they were really like short, peppy punk songs, kind of like the Ramones, but a little more like melodic and a little like horror in influence, and a little what do I want to say? A little horror and like funny lyrics and stuff. And they had a nice crowd that came to see them. And then they had their merch out, and among their records and CDs, they were selling these comics. And I will be reviewing these at a later date. But I got a copy of, thanks God, it's Monday, the story of World War IX, number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, and slap in the face 2, I am no longer obsessed with Gigi Allen. And the artist and creator here is Justin Milkman, who was the guitarist for Dr. X and the Breakups. Very fun band out of Brooklyn, and we hope to be playing with them again sometime soon, because they were a lot of fun. So, what are the chances that you're the two comic guys in two bands at a show? I think it's getting to be maybe more and more common than people think.
Yeah, we've had a lot of interviews we've done. I'd have to say over the last 50 plus interviews, 6, 7 are in bands actively.
Right.
So it seems to be a hand in hand kind of thing.
And then sometimes we interview people who do art for bands too,
right? Yeah. But are you thinking of like Steve McCardle?
Well, Steve McCardle is an amazing metal band, and he's like a singer, guitar player, and he has, and he's also a great comic guy. He does Crowbar, right? Crowbar 9. But who was that other guy that we interviewed? I think it was J.K. Paper or something, and his day job is making graphics for like a record label, right?
No, I think you're thinking of D. Moses, but
David.
But he's going by. They are going by D now.
Okay.
But worked for Holy Mountain, which is an apparel store. No longer works for them, and believe there was other, freelance contract work. If we are remembering properly. Anybody doing band? I don't.
Might be a little fuzzy, but that
it is.
I recall I recall saying what a cool day job. I mean, those T-shirts that everybody's wearing that have the death metal logos on it, and you can't even read the name of the band, are getting so popular. You know, I'm walking down the streets in Manhattan yesterday, and yes, I had to pay the congestion pricing to bring a car down there, but you just see them all over the place. Young people are just wearing them like crazy. And, you know, when you ask them, like, oh, what band is that? They're like, oh, man, I can't even read it. I don't even know what it says. But it's just like a splotch of, you know, branches and roots and like, you know, spikes and drips. And that's the shirt, you know. And people are wearing it like crazy. So I decided I needed to teach that lettering style in my classes. And I've been doing that with my 8th graders for years now. And, you know, it doesn't really translate to comics because it's not readable. But for some reason, it's really fun in the death metal genre of music to have a logo that nobody could read.
Well, I think they can read it. I think that's the that's sort of the insider culture thing, which I really super admire because it's an aesthetic. So you just need to learn to sort of focus in on one area and then go think. I work with on Crime the Barbarian. Let me Drawn Sword, and he is a part of that. What do they call it? It's there's actually a really great YouTube channel. It's called Heavy Art podcast. And it interviews, it really goes on, really creates a great community support mechanism for, you call them metal artists. I mean, it's probably a layman's term outside and everything.
Look at this.
But
look at this.
I found, oh yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I see it. I see. No, I'm disagreeing with you because I believe what it is. It's a cultural thing inside a community. So I believe it's very much an aesthetic. It's almost like if you can't read it, then fuck you, go away. Like we don't want you. We don't want you. Yeah, we don't want you around. Because but the aesthetic itself is very, it is very much graffiti in the way that it's destroying the literal use of letters to create some sort of word to then project into your mind. It's literally suppressing that and forming an object. And then that object then speaks to you. So I would take it to this point is that what happens is that you identify with that letter drawn logo to then know what the band's called. And so then you identify by that letter band logo, which is superior. It's a very superior way to do that. It's just not,
I'm gonna
for guys like maybe you and I.
I'm gonna disagree. I grew up, around graffiti writers, and they said exactly what you said. If they can't read it, screw it. It's not for them.
Right.
But with these heavy metal things, you're trying to promote your band, in a way that you get more customers or you get more attention, and people can see, well, that splotch of ink looks different from the other splotch of ink, and I really like this band, but people still cannot read it, and I test it out on my students. I say I'll give a prize to anybody that can read this. Nobody can read it, and they study it. And it's just
so what your argument is it's illegible to somebody that wouldn't take the time to better understand it to be then a part of a culture.
Nobody can read it if you don't know what it says.
Yeah, but the thing is that people that they do know what they do know what it says.
If they haven't seen it already, no, they obscure it. It's way too obscure in branches and ivy and webs and drips and everything. I mean, it's beautiful art. I mean, I'm literally teaching it, as a 2-day lesson for kids to do it because they're all wearing the shirts now. And I'm like, well, this isn't so hard to do. It just takes a little bit of patience and, multi-step, instructions and stuff. And they all have a good time. I mean, the problem is like when, I say you're going to invent 2 words, to make your band name. And like, sometimes the kids say inappropriate stuff. Like one girl asked me, can I make it Smoking Charlie Kirk? And I was like, no, we're not doing that. And then sometimes it's like, this is my band. It's called Murder Suicide. I'm like, no, we're not doing that.
Yeah, but that's a day's worth, right there.
Well, I did show them that a lot of the band names, everybody there's this great chart. It has like the 4 like categories that they fall into. One is like bloody arterial dripping. The other one is like Satan friendly with like horns and pentagrams all over the place. And then there's something they call bastard Gothic, which is like all the old English and all the the historic lettering styles. And then the other one is called precision graphics, where the letters are pointy, like Metallica, the M in Metallica and the A in Metallica. They're pointy and Overkill, and a lot of bands have precision graphics that are like interlocking, or they fit together nicely. Celtic knots and stuff. So we look at those four things, and I tell them like a lot of these bands made money and they made fame by trying to pretend like they're bad guy, tough guys, like Motley Crue, Shout at the Devil, Ozzy Osbourne, Mark with a Beast, Judas Priest, all that. I said, but really, these are just guys that are just people that are just trying to pay a mortgage and get through the day, and they're trying to get some customers, and it's a lot of fun to sing about that imagery and to contemplate that stuff. So I'm telling them, like, basically at the end of the day, it's all a gimmick. But then when they pick out their names, they're all going over the top. It's crazy. So just got to reel it back in. But it's an interesting style, and it's just on the rise. Is my point. It's like, see, just like normies walking down the street with these shirts on, and I think it's fun to challenge them. Do you even know what that says? A friendly competition. Do you know what your shirt says? I mean, I do that all the time in my school. I'm teaching like an urban inner city school, and I see kids wearing Ramones, Rolling Stones, all kinds of bands. And I asked them, do you know that band? Do you know even one song? And they're like, no, this was $5 at Target. So,
Exactly.
it's not, it's, it's not a thing. I mean, I'm guilty too of wearing t-shirts that I got for cheap. People come up to me and they go, oh, did you go to the University of blah, blah, blah? And I'm like, no, but they they definitely have a cheap shirt.
Okay.
I just love those t-shirts because for all the advertising that we're bombarded with in our lives, it's a chance for a regular person to just advertise what they want to say, and it might be a band, or it might be a political statement, or it might be anything they want to say, and you can be very expressive on a t-shirt, and people are all the time. So I'm for that, for sure. Um, Anyway, so we should probably talk about the latest on the anthology coming out.
Yes, we have pages coming from the Alex Turbin. This week he was finishing up 10-11, inking wise, and said he was shooting like 3 or 4 of the first pages to me. And then we'll subsequently put 2 more packages. He didn't want to mail them all together because he's rightfully so paranoid of loss in the mail of an entire thing. But he has done high res scans, so all's good there. And yeah, so we're this time next week you should have printed copies from the scans that I will generate from the art of whatever I have, which most definitely will be the first 4 pages. And as I said last week, we need to sort of look at an aesthetic. I just don't want to, run my deal right over the top of Alex's work. I really do enjoy Alex's work, and the fact that he is inking it gives me an opportunity, I'm thinking, to bring a different sensibility in the value of the pages, so then they're complete. But the other thing which you'll be tasked with, which hopefully by the end of this episode day, you'll have the font ready So then the scanned pages that you have, because I would like those to be, um, I like the lettering to be blocked out, just like we did with Ken Landgraf's pages. So I kind of know where to not go and, do my thing as it will be. So it then just gets covered up by a text block.
Yeah, sometimes your volume is dropping out. I don't know if your distance from your new headphones is
No, it's still the same mic. I
still the
don't know
same
if
mic.
it's
Well, yeah,
yeah,
but
it's
maybe
still
you
the same
can't
mic.
hear. Maybe you can't hear so good. Your volume
Can you hear
seems
me
like
now? Can you hear me now?
it's better that way. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a little further back. That's all it is because I'm working on these. You know, I'm grabbing instruments,
We
inking
had we had
instruments.
a we had a moment at the show the other night where the sound guy comes up to me and was like, "You got to eat the mic because if you're not right on the sweet spot, you really lose the vocal." So I was asking people in the audience how did it sound, and they were like, "Yeah, once the guy spoke to you, he could hear you a lot better.
What did you say?
You got to eat the mic."
That's one of my favorite jokes. Anything to do with hard hearing. I'm sorry. What did you say?
Yeah, I didn't get all that. So yeah, so life goes on, and
Life goes on.
you said that we have a an interview later today.
We do. Before we get into that, I want to make a correction. I had made a assumption, which can make an ass out of you and me. And you were at Forbidden Planet, and you saw Corinne Halbert's work on Spotlight, right?
Yeah, well, it was prominently on the shelves for sure, but then
Yeah.
on a different rack they had Corinne's recommendations.
See, so I had made an announcement that it was probably the fact that she's a part of the Power Pulp crew, and that is not correct because she was in New York for New York Comic Con and most definitely set that up. But we are looking forward to actually getting it, finding out more about that because we're hoping to get Corinne for a indie exchange interview very, very soon. Maybe not this year. She's a very, very busy gal. But today we have, which is going to be really, I mean, I think Chance Priest, Warriors of the Universe interview was number 10 or 11. And this will be interview 55 with Jeff Bertram, which I was able to meet face to face at SPX. So he's really excited to be coming on today. And I know I am very excited to talk to him because he was the first artist Chance Priest worked with to get his Warriors of the Universe comics out. So this is which I found through Rave Sensations, our man Dan Snoke. So that's going to be at 11:30 today. We'll be recording that. I'll be putting that together and edit next Sunday. So, and then we have two more interviews. John Coates, the other half of John and James Coates, and then let me just show this off. It's great stuff. So the writing half of that party there, those brothers, and then our man TC Pescatore and the artist Loco Gonzalez will be joining us on the 9th. It should be our last of the year trade paper back. And man, what a fantastic read. So yeah, we and then that'll be it because then our energies will be completely focused on getting Doom Magazine's anthology #1 into the wild.
Right, a labor of love. That'll be a lot of fun. So I sent you some information about the Kingston Con, and I was talking to Justin, the guitar player, and he said he's planning to table there, I believe, at the Kingston Con. And I told him I was that I had submitted an application, but that it might be dangerously close to the IC3, which would mean I would have to pick and choose one. Although if they're not on back-to-back weekends, there is an advantage to being all set up for one con and then just taking your whole setup to another con. I guess people that do cons all the time have their cases packed and all their merch and all their offerings. So for me, it would take a little while. Oh, I'm going to bring this. I'm not going to bring this. I'm going to bring this. I'm not going to bring this. Because we didn't do the IC3 since last spring. It's been a while. But
yeah, we should be hearing something soon.
Yeah. And then it turns out for that Orlando comic art, or what is like an original
art expo.
Original art expo in Orlando coming up, and it turns out
February.
Yeah, it turns out that's the very, very tail end of my spring break. So I could conceivably make it if I'm there on, I think, February 20th. Yeah, that's 20th. The Friday of my spring break. And then I would have the weekend to travel back, be back to work on Monday. And I also have a place to stay down there. So I'm thinking about going there, although awesome. Tabling probably isn't an option for me. I think if it's juried, I don't have my name around or anything. Nobody knows who I am. I'm just a schmuck off the street. But as far as attending and collecting cards of dealers, what I'm really hoping to do is sell a bunch of old original art I have for some old published works, and trying to use the money for that to generate some art funds so that I can hire folks like Ken Landgraf in the future. I always say, why hold on to original art if you're making tons more? And if you have high res scans, you can always publish to your heart's desire. So if you can sell your art and you can start all over again with some new art and maybe hire some pros or just subsidize your own work, your own creation. We all got bills to pay out here.
Ain't that the truth?
I've also been thinking about the Doom Mags Substack. As I'm driving around, sometimes ideas come to me when I'm laying in bed or folding laundry or something. So I jotted down a whole bunch of new stuff about the sentience and the sentient dome and the origins of the sentient dome and all that. So I have some new text. I'm not sure exactly where to stick it, but we used to use the Substack kind of as a repository.
Yeah.
And then anytime I'm, writing and editing, I just stick it on hellclaw.com. But the Substack was like sending emails out. We don't really do that anymore, right?
Well, I haven't gotten anything from you.
Right. Well,
it's all concurrent. It's all concurrent to you supplying the goods.
Right. And I haven't been emailing it to you, but I have been updating many of the pages on hellclaw.com, right, so that the last time you saw it or shared it, it's more now, and in no particular order. It might be more at the beginning, more at the end, more in the middle, but that's where I kind of like warehouse all of that stuff. So I don't know, maybe I should just send you the link to the sentient page, and then we'll just re-offer the whole thing, because it would probably take some work to differentiate what was new and what was old.
Yeah, I mean, I to be honest with you, I don't understand the methodology in posting it on Hellclaw and then me dragging it over to Substack. I mean, I understand. I do understand that you use Hellclaw as a journal. You know, it's that. But that was the original idea for,
Well,
and it still holds
Hellclaw is
for
where the
Substack.
story. What's that?
So you're saying that as you're putting the pieces together from Substack posts, they all get on one web page on Hellclaw, is what you're saying.
No, I write stuff. The process is I write stuff in my car or when I'm doing laundry, and I use voice assistants and all that stuff. But then when I have some notes, I email it to myself, and then I edit it and I integrate it into the ongoing chapters for each one of the bullet points that we have at hellclaw.com. Now, we were also copying and pasting that stuff into Substack chapters or installments or something, so that we could send it out to people. But I don't think we have a great way of knowing when something on Hellclaw got updated and sending out just the updates, because sometimes the update is editing stuff that was already there, and sometimes it's like just adding new paragraphs or adding a new section or whatever. So
far too complicated for me.
Right. That's why I was suggesting, I think
and there's nothing stopping you from just, putting a chunk of text and some of the images up there. My initial instigating of the Substack was for you to do what it is you do, like you just described, in a kind of like weekly, maybe 2 or 3 times a month, just getting it out there. And as you say, it pushes an email out to people to remind them that Turbo Pit Fighter exists or Doom magazines exists. And it was, though, always fundamentally in a utilizing just your pattern of being creative and taking a moment and then posting it to just sort of keep people in the loop, and also to just kind of keep yourself, excited about and motivated to, keep generating. But, just like me, you have the ADD kind of thing where, one day you have this idea, or one day you're working on this idea, and then the next day it's a completely different thing or another idea, you know what I mean? But the depository of the Substack is very much just kind of a, hey, this is what I was thinking about Elevena. This is what I was thinking about. Here's an idea in a sketch. That's all it is. It has the moment it's pushed into some sort of fundamental importance beyond that takes a lot of energy. And, neither one of us right now have the ability to devote to.
Yeah, that's why I was thinking the simplest thing is just to go occasionally onto Hellclaw and grab the updated text and just post it on Substack.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the way I operate is I just put notifications daily, weekly, and monthly in Google Calendars. And when I get that email notification, I say to myself, oh, do I have anything to put on the Gardner Francis Fox Library Substack, blah, 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 blah. And, then that's how I go about, doing that. But to expect me to just navigate over to Hell's Claw and grab a bunch of things and then post it, it doesn't utilize our time, I think, and energy in a wise way.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, I'm fine with the stuff just accumulating on Hellclaw.
Okay.
maybe I'll do it once in a while. I'll just
just
do a
create some kind
Substack.
of notification for yourself, or just something where you're like, yeah, I really
Well,
want to.
I
Because
not
you can
only
also schedule. That's the best thing about these social media, apps and stuff, is that you do have the ability to just schedule it. Like I sit down and do entire books on Gardner Francis Fox Library's Substack, and I just spend like 2 hours scheduling the whole thing, and I sit back for 3 months not having to worry about it, other than interacting with the fan base.
yeah, that's nice. I mean, to me, the most important thing is just building up the content in one repository place so that it's all being kept track of, and the Substack will come when it comes. But
Well, the other idea was that when we got to the point where, like, depending on how many pages of the Dumag's anthology will hold, your, this content here, then, kind of just index type of things, just chunks of words and little doodle illustrations. The connection between the people who are really following you on Substack, and then they get a copy of Doom Mag's #1, then things are kind of one and one's getting connected. Like, I think one of the hardest things to get artists or anybody marketing themselves online is one and done does shit. If anything, it just adds to the noise. But when you can create an equation of, like, here's something, and then you follow through with that equation with something that they either purchase or they can download or whatever it is, the equation then snaps together and they go, oh, okay, now I get that. And then that's one little piece of the building block in order to create a fan of your stuff. Like my marketing theory is there's no cool art selling anything anymore. It's just like cool music. I mean, there's just so much noise out there to try to get cut through is incredibly monumental to be able to cut through it. But the thing that you want to do is be able to connect with a group of people, build a community around that. That's why I love Substack, is because it does both of those things. It gives you a place to post something that sits on the internet, and then also sends a notification to somebody. There's also a third layer, which is at some point, you can always have a go at monetizing. And I will actually be doing that for the Gardner Francis Fox Library, either the end of this year, beginning of next year. So I'll be learning how to do that. But the shelf, if you will, doesn't exist in art nowadays. It's really making a connection. And I believe your writing, your concepts, your drawings of characters and situations are very connecting, but they need to be there in a constantly reminding people and refreshing people. Like, oh, it's very much what this here podcast is all about. We're just really all about reminding people that we're two guys getting together every Sunday. You write in pencil, I ink and do the producing of the podcast. And, this is where we're at, hence the update part of it, but yeah, I mean, we're figuring it out, Jake. I'm not, not worried about anything or concerned about.
Yeah, I have. By the way, you're sometimes you're straying from the mic, so it's a little hard for me to hear you. I have a form of OCD which is combined with ADD, and I call it AOCD. But yeah, at the end of the day, I'm not really that good with the business angle. I don't really care.
Sure.
So I just create and hope for the best, I guess.
But there's nothing that comes out of that. That's all it's
right. Well,
you're doing it for yourself, which is great. That's yeah. I think really the fundamental reason for anybody making anything. They should be making it for themselves, not for a an industry, if you will. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I
Yeah,
got to make
I
this
was
so the
watching.
comic book industry is revolutionized by my work. I mean, that's a super tall order, especially if you have nothing to do with any of the top comic publishers and the IPs that are out there.
Yeah, it's sometimes hard to hear your comments if you're not right close to the mic.
Really?
Yeah, that's better. So
Okay.
yeah, I was wondering about this yesterday because I'm a lifelong artist, and I work in comics, but I've done other different styles, and I've had exhibitions before. So I'm in all these galleries yesterday, and you're seeing all these artists and everything, and there's sometimes you see a style of art and you're like, wow, that's really not what I appreciate. Like there was I went to two different galleries and I didn't take any pictures because I wasn't into that kind of art, but it was just like not abstract, but it was just like geometric art. And, you might even say like op art, or, but it was just like people doing shapes and lines and surrounding concentric patterns and all this. And when I would bring my students to museums like the MoMA and everything, and I'm trying to explain to them like art can be very conceptual sometimes, and sometimes it's non-representational, but there's a significance to the artist about the shapes and the symbols, and and it does mean more than it looks like, and like the challenge for the viewer is to like try and figure out if there's any meaning that the artist meant that you can figure out, or if there's any meaning to you just seeing it that that might be valuable to you. And you know not all artists for everybody and all this stuff. And I'm just wondering while I'm there, like, why don't I submit some of my art to some of these galleries, or try to get an agent or whatever. Like I have all this fine art just sitting in cases in my storage unit I've done over the years. It's just such a grueling, like cold calling world out there with so much competition. You said like you'll never separate yourself from the noise, you know and I was wondering about that, like about maybe there is some commercial possibility for some of those faces I do, and or the posters or whatever. But then I'm like, yeah, you know what? I'm happy making the art for now, and then maybe when I'm retired, I'll see about I'm not hustling that much for good or bad, and me if I was like going to be doing shows and they're like, oh yeah, we'll give you a show, but you have to fix up these 15 pieces. Now, like, when am I supposed to do that? Now I get no sleep, right? So I don't know. It's this is a little therapeutic for me to tell Kurt, but I think happiness is like getting 8 hours sleep.
Oh yeah.
I like my job. I teach kids. I get kids into try to get kids into a nice high school. I go to high school tours. And, it's fun to go to galleries and see exhibits, but it's more fun for me to make art, and do this creative stuff that I do with
Well,
kids.
it's more in a therapeutic way. I mean, it's just I think even for our fan base, I would go out on a limb and say the majority of people that are really enjoying you and I are the conversations we have every Sunday, whether they're with us or getting a replay on another day. We're dealing with people who are also trying to escape the noise. They're in the same position as you. They're just trying to not be working, not be doing anything in the way of quote unquote responsibilities. It's just to be able to disconnect from the world and enjoy themselves. So, but the moment you want to move from that and start generating monetary gain, it's now a business. The moment you make that decision. So, like, just to speak to you getting into a gallery in Chelsea, the harsh reality is you'll never get into one. They won't even give you, they will not, me too. It's the gallery world is there for one reason on the street, right? is to represent not only the best right now, but the relative ones that are going to be around because of what they want to say. And it's a business of the elites. And you have to have, there's a channel, CAI, I believe is the an acronym. And he actually is a young guy, and he's worked in galleries, and he works in galleries. I think he's in Denmark. But I catch his channels ever so often. He has his best viewed video is something, paraphrasing, how you'll never get into an art gallery, even if you've had a 30+ year career in making art. And he did a study, a 10-year study, talking international, interviewing internationally, I think 10,000 working artists, and found out that if you're like, if you don't you have to start with group shows. And if you don't get a solo show in 3 years, you'll never make it. Now, if you make it to the 3-year show, 3 years, you make it to a group show. To a solo show. If you don't get, let's say you do 3 or 4 solo shows over the next 5 years. In those 5 years, you do not get representation, you will never make it in the fine arts. And he keeps going. Like every time you can accomplish one of these things, there's another layer you have to break into. One of the biggest things, and I know because I follow a ton of fine artists on one of my YouTube channels that I have just for art and watching and finding. Who comes to your studio? Which, you have to have like a big city studio, right? And one of my favorite artists has a video where I think he has a studio in New York and in England, I believe. Well, I know he is English, but anyhow, his story basically is he was in a group show, but he was still behind. He had representation. He was just like getting out there. So he'd been at it for like 10, 12 years. And he was in this group show, and a couple days later, after the opening, he's in his studio, and he literally gets the buzzer, and he goes and he's like, "Yeah, can I help you?" He's like, "Oh, is this Justin Mortimer?" And he's like, "Yes, it is." He's like, "Oh, this is David Bowie. I just came from your gallery. Your representation was kind enough to give me. I hope I'm not intruding. I would like to come up and see more of your work." Once you get to that part, then the ball's rolling. The other major component is the museum circuit. So not only do you have to be exhibiting in these galleries, you need to be added to people's collection. I mean, not only people's collections, but the network of museums in the world. You need to start being collected by them. And once you're up to that point, you've got to produce. And you got to produce one thing on top of the other, an improvement and what you're saying and stuff. So it's not the best way I could probably describe it from my own point of view is it's not commercial based as much as people, I think the lay people they want to, it's just commercialized nonsense, right? They just do it. No. It's a whole nother world. So just saying, I got a bunch of really great art. Okay. You probably do. You probably do even have something to say, but there's a proper track record that you have to execute and stay on. And in the connection, I mean, just to toot my own horn, when I got out of school in '92, I was a part of a group of artists that was being represented by a new gallery. And I knew everybody a part of it because they were, people who had graduated before me. And so I did have a connection there. I decided to not stay in Baltimore anymore. I decided to come back to Wilmington, and Philadelphia was a place that I thought, I could get into. I did. I ended up within like a year and a half. I was a part of a scene in Philadelphia as a painter. You know, I had my slides all the time. I had like slides I'd be able to show off, and some reproductions and everything. And was at a party after an exhibit, and knew people, like I said, a part of this scene. And I remember this female artist. She was maybe 8 years ahead of me. Leaned into me and said, "So when are you moving to Philly?" And I was like, "Oh man, I'm not moving to Philly. I'm down the road in Wilmington." And she looked at me and she goes, "That's a shame." And I was like, "What the hell does she mean?" And it was over. I just knew that if I didn't live with these people, and it's just a different game. So I just really enjoy fine arts for the unique voices people can have outside, I think, of commercially trying to be viable.
To me, it's a very weird world. It's a very weird racket. I really recommend a documentary called "The Price of Everything," which spotlights the really high end, artists, painters, the collectors, the curators, and the auction houses, where you're talking about tens and hundreds of millions of dollars being, traded around. And it's such an eye-opening documentary, because what you learn is that all three sets of people involved, which is the artists, the collectors, and the curators, are all insane people playing with monopoly money. And for everybody else in the world, where it's just mind-boggling to to spend $10 million on a painting or a sculpture or something, and then you hold on for a while, and you sell it for 15 million. It's just a crazy world. But the rhyme or reason, for somebody that says, "Oh, I'm an artist. I can draw. I can, I have concepts, all that stuff." There's just no. There's no. It's like the stock market. Like, if you knew exactly what to do, you'd be rich, right? Or the lottery, right? If you knew the numbers that were coming out, you'd be rich. So I just wanted to say, like, it's a very fickle marketplace. It's very eccentric, especially at the very high end. And just like music or just movies or anything, it's a lot about who the company you keep. Kurt has a lot of sense he's making, his personal experiences. But art is in every city and town, every country. There was just a heist at the Louvre that people are talking about.
That's so cool.
And these museums, there's 10,000 people a day that go into the Louvre, that they're charging admission to, just to see some old art, right? I mean, the whole world.
All right. So we're at the 15-minute mark. I got to cut us off here because we do got to get ready for Jeff. Get back close to the microphone. Jeff Bertram. We have an interview to record. Man, I think one of the great parts, Jake, and I can't be sincere enough, is having fine arts conversations with you, because it really does challenge me, because basically your point of view and my point of view are really not even from the same like launching pad, but we are both still outsiders looking in. And I also wanted to say, I have put in my calendar at the end of this year, beginning of next year, I'm using OAX's website to find a comic book art collector to get on the show for an interview. So
cool.
you have rung through. I also feel like, and I don't really want to take up any more time because we do really need to get prepped for Jeff's interview, is we're on the threshold, I feel, in comic art making. That means the physical aspect of making art like we are. We're literally at the beginning of a threshold that is going to be mind-boggling to both of us in 3 to 5 years when it comes to your original art as a comic book artist. But other than that, Jake, let's let these people get back to reading comics, making them if they choose. I want to thank everybody that came by and hung out with us in the YouTube chat. And we will be here, Jake and I, next Sunday. Jake, you want to take us out?
Yes, thanks for viewing, guys. Next time we're going to do a turbo update. We're going to get back into the recap, the latest recap of the plot and where we're at. But if you're interested in our other channels, check out our flip throughs. That's the comics that influence on our YouTube homepage, and then also our interviews, which we're about to tape, called the Indie Creator Exchange, also there. And come right back here next Sunday, 10 a.m. Eastern, and we're going to be live. I'll hopefully be done with the alphabet, but I can't guarantee. Once I make this, that's it for life. And then, maybe I'll even sell it. Who knows? But only to friends, only to collaborators. But see you guys next Sunday, 10 o'clock. Be cool.
See you next Sunday, Jake.